So I was talking to my mom yesterday and realized that my parents had moved so many times that it has revealed how much I was fearful of my own move and her opinion, my parents' opinion of our move when they know what it's like to move. And there needs to be a conversation about what fear is. I have a client and friend who is awesome at acronyms, and she gave me her acronym for fear, and it is fatal energy avoiding rest. And I love it because the first word, fatal, yes, fear is fatal because it will immobilize you, it will keep you stuck. Les Brown says that fear is false expectation appearing real. First word again, false. It's not true. It's an illusion. It's an idea that is not true. And the Bible says that God doesn't give you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and sound mind. So he gives you the courage. He gives you the ability to go forward. Not that there are no challenges. There are challenges. We all face challenges. But in spite of those, do not fear. How many times does the Bible say, do not fear, do not fear, do not fear? And so it's not that it's going to be perfect. It's not going to that it's going to be, oh, let's just go because it's going to be great. There's not going to be bad things happening or anything like that. But you need to have faith in spite of the fear that you may have. It's natural to have fear. However, we cannot live in fear. We cannot let it control our lives because there is, what's the word? There's false, there's fatality in fear. It prevents you from doing the things that you're supposed to do. Moving abroad, if you're supposed to do that, there are fears that are going to come up and you will delay. Of course, you need to have sound mind. You need to make good choices. However, you need to also be brave. And what always gives me comfort is knowing that no matter where I go, no matter what I do, God is always there. So whether the decision is logically supposed to be going to the left or taking this job or going here, but I don't and I do the opposite, guess what? Just because I did the opposite doesn't mean that, okay, I'm on my own and God has forsaken me. No, even in that spot where I'm not supposed to go or the things I'm not supposed to do, God is still there. And that is extremely comforting to me because it reminds me that I can't make bad choices. Or even if I make a bad choice, I'm not alone. God is always there for you, with you. And so it gives me so much peace and joy knowing that that's the case. And a lot of times I've let fear block certain things because I have put other people's fears as my own fears. I can be brave, but then I'm like, ooh, but somebody's not going to like this, or ooh, they're going to say no, but it's something that I want to do, right? And so I think about other people's opinions and their possible fears. I don't even have certainty that they have these fears. They haven't even told me anything about their fears. They haven't told me no or anything. But I'm already saying no to myself because I think that they're going to say no when there's no evidence that they're going to say no. They might be super excited for me. And I know that when I was thinking of leaving academia, I had that fear. I had that fear that my students, it will sound a little ridiculous now, but I felt that was my fear of holding on to the job that I had that ended up making me very miserable. My main fear that kept me from leaving was that my students were not going to be able to have a good college experience because I'm out of the department. And it sounds ridiculous, but that was my fear. I was like, what is the department going to do if I leave? What is the university going to do if I leave? What are my students going to do if I leave? Are they going to be able to graduate? Guess what? They were able to hire somebody else in, I think, less than 30 days. The university obviously is still strong and standing and still making money. My students graduated and got jobs and living their best lives. So you see how fear can make you think things that are exaggerations, things that don't always make sense. Sometimes, yes, it's a real fear, and you have to address those things logically. Like, okay, if you're fear of falling sick if you move abroad, okay, what precautions can you take? But sometimes fears are just unrealistic. And as moms, we do have a lot of unrealistic fears when it comes to our children. And so that was a fear that I had. And I remember a conversation that I had with a life coach back then. So that was like over 10 years ago. Just one conversation about this fear that I had. And she was like, what makes you think that everything's going to fall apart because you're leaving? And I had no evidence that it was going to happen. And so, poof, the fear went away. It was like, they'll be fine, right? But we get trapped with the fears that either something bad is going to happen or that we cannot do the thing when there's no evidence proving that we cannot do the thing. And so even now going back to moving abroad and the conversation that I had with my parents, and I was like, man, these people like moved countries, left their family, moved to a different continent, spend 6 months here and then 1 month here with 3 kids and me being a baby. And I was like, was I born? She's like, yeah, you were a year old. And I'm like, what? So they did the brave thing. Was it hard? I'm sure it was hard. I'm sure it was hard, and that there's some family members that they never saw again. And so it was very hard. It's very hard when you move away from your home, from the familiarity. And back then in the 80s, I remember growing up and my parents would communicate with family members with telegrams. Do you remember telegrams? But today we have FaceTime. You can hop on the plane. You can, it's a lot easier to communicate with family members or to even go back. Set a budget aside for that in case of emergency and you have to come back home, right? So prepare for the unexpected, the things that you fear that, oh, if something happens to my family members, okay, how can you prepare that? Something can happen even if you're living in the same house as them. Something can happen to them. So how can you prepare for this eventuality? Having a budget, being able to communicate, or maybe even having other family members take care of them and being able to have communications with them every day, talk to them every day, FaceTime with them every day, right? You can put certain things in place so that it kind of alleviates the fear and allows you to live the life that you're supposed to live and do the things that you're supposed to do, right? Without being in that, that pressure of fear that keeps you down and small. And, you need to be brave. You need to have clarity about what you're supposed to do. It doesn't always happen overnight. But that realization when I was talking to my mom yesterday, I was like, wait a minute. I'm not saying that she might be okay with us moving, because they have grandkids now. So it's always challenging for grandparents to accept that the grandbabies are leaving. But she will have also to be brave. Everybody's going to have to be brave in this situation. I don't have to carry their fears, and I don't have to be brave for them. Everybody individually has to be brave for themselves. And so I also cannot anticipate no or fears when it hasn't even happened yet. And again, having that conversation made me realize that, you know what? You cannot carry the weight of other people's fears. You cannot carry other people's fears and use them as yours as an excuse not to move forward. No, there's like green light for you. Go for it. Yes, there might be some pushback, or maybe it's going to be like, yes, go for it. Do it. I remember years ago, I had the conversation with my dad, and he's like, go wherever you want to go. He's like the optimist. That's where I get it from. And he's like, wherever you see opportunity, just go. Because, it's your life. It's your life, and you have to grab onto those opportunities. And that's why I think it's very important when it comes to moving abroad or doing something challenging, something scary. Do it. What's the worst that can happen? Does it mean that it wouldn't happen if you had stayed? The worst that can happen, okay, some fears, somebody gets sick, okay, you get insurance. Somebody at home gets sick, okay, you have an emergency fund for you to be able to buy a plane ticket at the highest price point possible and still be home. Running out of money, okay, at least have the minimum in a savings account so that if you run out of the everyday money, you can at least come back home. Okay, what's the next fear, right? You go through the different fears and you debunk them. You turn them into unrealistic and imaginary fears into, okay, if this were to happen, this is concretely what we're going to do and have a plan. There are things that we cannot control, but there are things that you can prepare for and prepare for those. Okay, so that's something that I wanted to share, and I wanted to give a shout out to Savvy. Thank you for the acronym of FEAR, Fatal Energy Avoiding or Avoiding Rest. Because fear is going to keep you up at night. Fear is going to, give you more anxiety and keep you stuck. And that's not what you want. And she has an acronym for rest. Actually, I wrote it down the other day. Rest. Thank you, Savvy. This one is her acronym for rest. So that will be the opposite of fear, because fear doesn't allow you to rest. And rest is releasing releasing every stressful thing. When you have fear, all the stress is staying within you and it's bubbling up. It's bubbling up and you're getting stuck and stuck and stuck and it's getting heavy on you. But if you don't rest, that's what happens. But rest, according to Miss Savvy again, is releasing every stressful thing. Amen to that. All right, so I just want to share that with you guys. I don't know if you are going through this season of, maybe fear or doubting this move. We all go through this, and it's not always a clear line. Even as you are making progress in your move and starting packing and booking things and plane tickets and all of that, you still have these little fears that come creeping in. And so you have to be able to shut them down, because they will keep you stuck. Okay, so let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll talk to you in the next video.